You know, it's just a major part of my life to have the bookstore and have all these books coming in. It's always thrilling to see what books are in the boxes that come in. And it's always fun when I find a book that I know someone's been looking for.
Books are a great way to learn things, and it's a form of escapism in the stories that I read.
I read every day. I work long hours, and still though I read. Books are what I do all day long, or keeping the bookstore going all day long. My full name is Hotranata Ajaya, and my job description is I do everything except the big part that my wife does. And we have a few volunteers to also help now. So I'm actually, my wife and I are owners of the business, and I'm the manager, and she manages the front desk.
Punita Ajaya, and I'm the office manager, which entails quite a number of different details.
My name is Stephanie Morse, and I'm a longtime customer at Book Buyers.
I had an old friend, a good friend. He started the business. He was a bookman. That's how we were associated. So in 1993, I was working for a nonprofit. When that nonprofit, times got hard for them, they had to let me go. And so I talked to my partner, and he said, well, right away, well, come and work with me. And that was in 1994, early January. I went there, and he said, okay, you're the manager. You manage it, and he'd do his things. So I managed the store. In 1998, he gave me half the business because of what I was doing for the store. So I didn't purchase it. So in a way, I inherited it, you might say.
I started helping with the calendars at first. And since that was a seasonal thing, that worked out well for me. And then when my girls got older, I started coming in and processing books. And then when they were all gone from home, I kind of joined full-time doing processing and whatever else was needed.
So we were there 24 years. It came to be hard times, very hard. A lot of things caused that, but the main thing that caused it was the internet and Amazon. It was really hard. We had a big staff, over 20 people. I kept cutting down till we only had about 12 people still hired. And so finally, we weren't able to pay the rent because the rent was going to go up over double what we've been paying. There's no way we could do that. We just weren't making it that well. So we had to leave. Well, as it turns out, we found out I did a lot of sales and stuff to get enough money together to make the transition, if we could make one. And I was looking everywhere. Everywhere was, the rents were going up everywhere, really big. And so we just couldn't find a place. Finally, somebody contacted Gilroy, who wanted a bookstore, and they called me, and so they came up and talked with me, and we said, okay, let's do it. So here we are.
So we used to shop quite often at Book Buyers when they were here in Mountain View. They have since moved to Gilroy. That was several years ago. But during COVID, we did make the trek down to Gilroy to go visit them. It was just our, we had been locked away in quarantine for so long, and when things started to open up just a little bit, we thought, what's a good place to just get out and go somewhere? And we figured Book Buyers in Gilroy. That was the first time we had been there since they moved, and it was just a lot of fun to reconnect with the bookstore and reconnect with the people who work there, because they're so nice and we just love talking to them.
I mean, it definitely had a financial impact, but once we were able to open again, I think people were even more appreciative, especially with the library still not being open for them to go and browse.
What I like about buying used books is you can think that there's a story behind the book itself. You think about, where has that book been? What families has that entertained throughout the years, and I like that aspect of them.
Oh, there's one great story. It didn't happen with me, but it happened in Mountain View. A lady came up with a paperback book, and she put it on the counter. She was all excited. She said, "I've been looking for this book for 30 years." She said, "I actually had it with me on a bus trip across the country, and I left it in the bus." And she said, "And here I find it on the shelf." And she said, "Not only is it the same title, this was my book." And it had her name in it. I think that, to me, just kind of displays the magic of a bookstore, of a used bookstore.
So some of the best books that I've found there that I've really been happy with the selection are some of the kids' books. When I used to take my kids there, occasionally I would run across a book that I had as a kid, and I just thought that was really neat because those books are long out of print, and it was just a lot of fun to run across some of the books that I remember as a kid. I think book buyers is an important part of our community. Books are important to every family. It's a great way to learn. It's a great way to escape with the stories that you hear, and I'm just glad that they're part of our community.
I think it's had a positive impact on the community, and I think that can really grow into something more to offer.
We just kept working hard and wouldn't give up and refused to give up, and so we're still here.
At times it's overwhelming with the amount of books that come in, but it's always exciting to meet the people who come in and are so happy to find that there's a used bookstore with this number of books in it.
I think the fact that book buyers is still around even through the boom of online shopping and through COVID just shows how important a small independently run bookstore is to a community.
It has to my desire to live a life of integrity. I feel like when you start something that is worth starting and worth doing, that one should follow through. And of course there's a time when it's reasonable to give up, but I didn't find it reasonable to give up.
Yeah, we really are committed and feel very positively about it going forward. So we just do what we can do and leave the rest.